What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Potion of Mastery, where today we are talking about kind of a follow-up video from last week's video, where we talked about the best applications that um, I have personally used for dungeon mastering. Today we're going to actually talk about how I use my Obsidian, what plugins I use, and how I utilize it. Cat incoming. Come on. Come on. You good? With that out of the way, let's jump into Obsidian and see how I plan everything in my campaign using just Obsidian, and how I use it similar to World Anvil for practically free. Let's do this. All right, as you can see, um, we are in Obsidian, and I'll go ahead and actually create a new vault here. Create a new vault. When you first download Obsidian, this is the first thing you're going to have to do. You're going to have to create a vault. So I'm going to go ahead and name this a test vault. The location's going to be in my Obsidian folder, and then we're going to go ahead and create that. So this is what it's going to look like once you open Obsidian for the first time and create your first vault. You can close both of these. You can turn things into the double pane window whenever you want. But for the meantime, this is kind of it. You can read through this welcome thing. Not a huge deal. I just delete it. The first thing you want to do for anything related to TTRPG planning, or even Obsidian in general, because it improves significantly, is go into this community plugins thing. Going to turn them on, and you're going to browse for community plugins. Now, if we go back to this guy, you can see I have colors that I can organize, assign to each of my folders. So the first plugin we're going to download is File Color, and just install that, and we'll also enable it. The next thing that I've done for this, and this is completely up to you, but there's this little calendar. It's a calendar specific to my campaign. So if you want a custom calendar year, it's very useful. This is called Calendarium. So let's go ahead and download Calendarium. And then enable that. I do have remotely save, but I'm not going to show you how to set up a Cloudflare server or anything like that now. But remotely save is an option to save your documents. Alternatively, you could probably just download, upload all your files to Google Drive or Dropbox, download them onto your tablet, and put them into your folder, and it do the exact same thing. You just have to make sure you do that every single time, whereas remotely save just auto does it for you. The next program that I have here is Discord Rich Presence. This just notifies people that I am in Obsidian. And then Fantasy Stat Blocks. So this is totally up to you if you want it. Fantasy Stat Blocks is just the SRD stat blocks. So not everything's in there. So do keep that in mind. And also, as you can see, there's a couple content generators and name generators. So if you want those, there's hundreds of thousands of plugins because Obsidian is open source. So I definitely recommend taking the time to go through it. Now we forgot to turn that on. With Calendarium, it's very simple. You can go in, you can create a new calendar, go through all this. You can create celestial bodies, you can create eras, you can create dates. This is just like the calendar information, and then also events. I'm not going to set one up just because that's going to be its own video. Um, or you guys can go and play around with it. Fantasy stat block, just some settings here. It shows you everything it has, and it's all 5e SRD, and then there's file colors. So I prefer the color background instead of the text, and then you just add colors. Red, for example, then you click on this, make it red. And then you just save. And then when you go and create a folder, test folder, you right click it and you set color, and you have all your color options there. You can bookmark things, you can search for things in your directory. One thing I would recommend is making a templates folder, and then create like a character template, throw it in, and then in your settings, you're going to go down to templates, and you're going to choose a folder called templates. And then whenever you go here, you can choose that template. So for example, these hashtag number signs are for your headings. So the more you have, the smaller the heading shrinks. I typically do 1 to 2, sometimes 3, but we'll say this is like their personality. 3 of those, and enter creates this line. Then we'll do description and another line, and then we'll do name, another line. And notice, if I don't put the space in between something, strategy, it becomes a tag which you can search for as you want. So let's say this is our character template, and I want to go ahead and make a new character called Rasmodius. And I don't want to have to add all that stuff. You just click this little insert template button. It brings up that menu. You click the template you want, and you can have multiple templates as long as they are in that folder. So we'll go ahead and delete this Rasmodius, and you know what? Let's make a the main template that I use is a session template. So usually I do a recap, so I'll do that. And then I'll do usually like session plot, and then important notes, and then you can do things like you can make this however you want, right? And then I just throw that into my not my test folder, my templates folder. And now that is one of my templates. And it'll populate all this automatically just by one click of the button. So we can close those. And so if you go into this graph view, it'll show you all your stuff, right? So I've made a character template, I've made a session template. And when we go and create something new, it adds another node. These nodes you can connect to each other. So let's make this like session. Let's make this like Catan, for example. Catan is in the small country of Commodium. And then let's make Commodium and this is a country, just for example, right? Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this and we're going to do double square brackets. And then when we hit enter, this now connects. And when you go back to this graph view, like so, it shows a line between Commodium and Catan. So this is useful to see what links to what. And these square brackets will link to that page. Now let's say I didn't want to be in Commodium, or I don't want it to say Commodium. I want it to say Fiddlesticks. All you have to do is put the this thing. I don't know what you call this thing, and it will allow you to insert a display name. And yeah, if you usually I'll make a hidden folder, and this would be for things like maps. So for example, I have this map, and let's just say for example that I am going to do that and add the map to this, even though this is my Cronin map for my campaign and it's not Commodium. But I mean, whatever. The next thing that we should maybe talk about is, because here you can see I have a little bit of a different theme. So when I go into here, I have this kind of Sakura theme a little bit, right? So we'll go into settings. We can go into and manage themes, and there are hundreds of themes. I kind of want to try. You know what? Let's try Wasp. Wasp looks cool. And now when you go here, everything's kind of like this black and yellow. Even these lines are yellow. I actually kind of like that. So yeah. If you want to see what else you can do here, it looks like, okay, you can export things to PDF. I didn't know this, but anyways, this is your command palette. You can also press Control P. And essentially you can go down this list. It's 1,000 thousands and thousands of commands for Obsidian. And yeah, you can just go through all of these. You can even look up them. So insert horizontal rule, you can insert a table. There's all sorts of things. Insert a callout. I don't know what that does. There we go. But yeah. So then the next thing I kind of want to show you is this. So this is a canvas. You can see it created a new document and it called it canvas. So what you can do is you can actually do this. I'm going to add, let's add Catan, and then let's shrink this up, and let's add a Commodium. Oh shoot. And we're going to link these two, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, oh, music, and this is where I would do my Undertale. Let's do like his theme from Undertale, let's do your turn to roll a critical roll. And then we can link that also there. And you can zoom out, move around, zoom in. And so what I use these for, if we go back to mine, I don't always use them, so that's why I only have two. But as you can see, I kind of fit my recap into this first block. I link it to weather tables, perhaps puzzles, and then also I have the weather table of winter linked into moon phases. The puzzle also goes into the solution. Then I link it to combat because that's the flow of this session was a puzzle then combat. And then I link the stat blocks, which I actually import the PNGs from a site that I use called statblockmaker.com, I want to say. And then I also link my music to possible combat. The music could be linked to anything, and linking them doesn't really do anything. It's more of like a flow chart for you, I guess, or more of a mind map or a flow chart, I guess. And in music, it just talks about what songs I'm going to play at what points. And that's been very useful for me. So yeah, this canvas thing is very fun to play with. And it has so much to do. If you want something like a Kanban board from Notion, there are Kanban boards. So these are kind of like Trello boards, where you have different things, in progress, bugs, magic items, that sort of thing that you're working on. And I think you can create just a single file for it. And then you can move them throughout these boards, that kind of thing. I would highly recommend just going through. You could go through forever, so try not to, but you can literally just go through the community plugins for a very long time. I don't know why it's still, there we go. But I would definitely recommend taking the time to go through these because there might be different community plugins that you want to use on top of the ones I've already noted, or perhaps you don't want to use the ones I noted and you want to go find some other ones. It's completely up to you. There is a huge, extensive list of plugins. You can sort by different orders. It's a lot. There's a bunch of like AI tools as well. All sorts of things. So I definitely recommend going through it all. There is an initiative tracker, I believe, for TTRPGs if you want to do that. All kinds of stuff. I recommend taking your time and just figuring out how Obsidian works. This is kind of like the basics. You can bookmark by right-clicking. We'll name it Untitled Canvas. We'll go to bookmarks, and it's there in bookmarks. And then you can also remove the bookmark. There's a way to there is a plugin for custom organization, or what was it? Custom filter. I don't know. I saw it yesterday. I didn't grab it, but just know it is there. Um, and I would say the most important thing, because if we go here, you can see I have a lot of stuff connected to things. So when you're making a session, let's go to a session I've already done, just in case my group finds this before our next session. I doubt they will, but anyways. Um, so here in O2, the chill plague, this was session 2. They were trying to still cure a chill plague. I have the recap. There's nothing linked there. Important plot information, they've gotten the bulk of it, so there wasn't anything really I needed to describe to them. This was the puzzle session. So here I linked the weather table for winter, which in roll tables, I have another roll table. I have a couple of roll tables here. And I've noted that the players roll 1d20. If I needed to, I could just click on this link and send me over to it. For the Frost Caverns, I could have made a small kind of file that I could have linked to, but it's not a relevant area in my story because it's so far north and out of the way. And it was just there to kind of start the campaign while I kind of figured out what I was going to do. This puzzle links down here. So if you want to see how I did that, a hashtag and a puzzle allows you to choose a header. And then I also renamed it puzzles so that it's not O2 the chill plague hashtag puzzle. And so I click on that and it brings me and highlights the puzzle. I did not know it highlighted the puzzle, but it brings me to the puzzle. And then if I wanted to, I actually could link this and I could link this. And these are all my characters, all my PCs, which I have all in PCs, and this is where I keep track of their backstories, what I'm going to do to them, etc. And then I have my NPCs that are relevant in the story, and then my big bad evil characters. There's currently 2 of them. There's technically 3 of them, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress. They haven't even met any of them yet, so working on those kind of get me too far ahead. And then obviously the next thing I do, or the last thing I put into my session, is this next session thing once I've created the file. And I just give it the name next session. And then that way I can just click on it. It goes to my next session if I'm ever looking through my notes for any reason. So there is that. That's kind of how I use it. If you want to see kind of how I use my characters. So for example, this is a new character I just created for my newest session, which I don't mind leaking in anyway. But it's Miguel the squirrel. He's a face squirrel. I've written him a description. I have a personality for him. He's a ladies' man. Classic squirrel. And then he has a little bit of a backstory and purpose for the story. And he is related to, I should probably link the first instance of the character so that if I need to, I can always go over to him. I said he will give off a Puss in Boots vibe, except he isn't a con man. This is kind of how I use Obsidian. As you can see, I have a map set up, and then I have the moon phase set up. So I have a lunar event or a celestial event called a blood moon, will be very important later in the game. And the blood moon happens, I think, like every 28 days or something like that. or 68 days or something like that. So yeah. If you guys have any questions about how else I use Obsidian, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll try and respond to as many as possible. And if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and also subscribe for more. And let me know what else you want to see from me regarding whether it's applications like this that I use on a week-to-week basis, or it's a behind my DM screen or GM screen video. Um, Let me know down below. Uh, Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss an upload of Potion of Mastery. And I actually have a Patreon. It's linked down below, and you will actually get bonus content over there. Um, so the next time I'm making a campaign or a session, I'm going to record everything that I do to create a session within Obsidian, and I will be posting it over on the Patreon, Potion of Mastery Patreon. So you don't have to at all support me. I have a full-time job. I do this as a side thing. I don't expect to make any money, but if you want to support me further, Patreon is the way to go for that. So without any further ado, I appreciate you for watching through this video. Hit the subscribe and like button, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.